they'll lynch you. But he did, and I think he lasted about a week and a half.
West Ham finished the Premier League season with a 2-1 defeat to Leicester City on the final day of the season. West Ham went into the game with extremely nothing really low and nothing little to play for, really, against Leicester side who were battling to avoid relegation. And unfortunately for them, they did not defeat that. We started off the game, I thought, a little bit, well, all right. We had a few attempts at goal off target, but so did Leicester City. Anyway, welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is your player ratings, your views, your opinions. So it's your opportunity to get your point across from the game that we did see yesterday. Now, it was a game that did mean nothing to us, and it certainly felt like that. It looked like all the players had one eye on the final. It genuinely had that vibe about it. I spoke to a few people who were at the game and said the atmosphere was unbelievable. And tell me, I'm sitting here watching the game and you could hear it. You could hear the fans singing. It was like that kind of carnival atmosphere. And fair play like that. What an experience that would have been in the ground, especially when we get beaten, especially, it's hard to get up for these times when you've got nothing to play for and the team looks like they're not really, at the races for that occasion. But then again, you would think to yourself, there's a couple of players that maybe are featuring that maybe aren't a shoo-in for the final. And it's an opportunity for them to get on and get in front of the fans, get in front of the boss and show what they're capable of doing, capable of maybe stepping up to the biggest game of our modern life. 47 years since we've been in a European Cup final, and we're going to be there again in Prague against Fiorentina next week on Wednesday, which I still can't believe every time I say it. And I see people are starting to get their tickets through. I think there's a few tickets going on the black market as well. And you never know. I still might be going, I might not. I'll keep you updated as we do go along over the coming week. I'll probably have to make a decision over the next couple of days, though, to be honest. But you can totally see the players' mindsets are different. They're there. They're in Prague, and on our social media team at West Ham are starting to promote the road to the final, you could say, by rerunning all the goals we scored, which was quite a lot. But essentially, we're here about the Leicester game, and I thought that initially we did start off quite well. One player I do want to talk to you about is Pablo Fornals, how he's putting himself in the mix. I think he has really probably put himself in the mix to try and challenge for a starting role at West Ham for the final. And to be honest, I think it could be an opportunity for him to stamp his mark in his West Ham career. He's been there in and around the squad for the last couple of years, and he's been a really effective player. And I think, again, he's starting to show what he's worth. He's been patient in the background, waiting for his opportunity. And when he does come on, sometimes it's wasteful, but then it's not just him. Sometimes the other players are wasteful. But equally, though, I think that he is one of the players that's really put himself into the mix to give David Moyes a team selection dilemma for the final. But we did find ourselves go behind thanks to a Harvey Barnes goal that gave Leicester City the lead. And it was a well-taken goal 35 minutes in. He latched onto a return pass from Iniacho to finish past Lucas Fabianski. His ability just to get past our defenders, in particular Flynn Downs, his pace and his strength alone is a quality that looks like many teams will be looking at, because now Leicester are relegated. You are hearing that he could be made available. And I think they're going to want as much money as they possibly can. To be honest, I think he's going to add a real threat for any team that he does play for. He is a quality player. He got 13 Premier League goals last season in a relegated Leicester side. Can he add and value to our squad? I absolutely do believe he could. It's just going to be interesting to see what monetary value Leicester want for him, because I think they're going to be going into the market looking for a lot of money as well. The footballer is in first. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Russ does look very different. He's grown some hair and a beard. But listen, he's sunning it up, mate, in Dubai. He's loving his life right now. It's all right for some, innit? It's all right for some. Meaningless game just used for practice for the final. It is definitely a meaningless game. I'm past it. I seen some comments of people saying digging out mods, digging out players, but for me, it wasn't what the full focus is on at all. You know, we're safe. It was a nothing game, but I know the fans want players to turn up and give them a job and get the job done, but they didn't. Even in Anton, bad result, but let's look forward to the final. I hope that the boys are ready for it and go right from the start, because if we sit back, we could be in trouble. I think we'll be up for it. You just got to hope that listen, it's a 50-50 final, mate. And I know you all know that, but whatever really has happened over the past with West Ham, and also whatever has happened in the past with Fiorentina, all goes out the window, because you don't know how these players are going to take to the moment as well. Just so disappointed to be in the sides of the stadium that they're in. Good thing that came out of the game was no injuries, and Pablo looks like a starter for the final. Yep, we'll come on to that in a second. Where's Nemo? He's up there, don't you worry, but he's actually called Hulk. So we'll come about that. It's Happy Hammerette. How are you? It's been such a long time. I hope you are safe and well, and love seeing you back in the chat. Our performance was abysmal. Aside playing with so much caution to avoid injuries and make it to the final, given that the Foxes were fighting for their lives, it wasn't worth the risk for one spot up. I kind of agree with you. To be honest, it wasn't worth the risk. I think essentially the only way I thought West Ham would get at them was because I thought we would sit back and allow them to come at us and then counter them on the break. But in actual fact, Leicester sat back, and Leicester actually did what I think West Ham would have done, especially in the first half. They sat back. They didn't go at West Ham. And then a couple of times, West Ham and Leicester trade punches. They had a couple of chances. We had a couple of chances. Nothing really to frighten the keeper until Harvey Barnes did break the deadlock in the 35th minute as well. Barnes, 50 million, but Championship worth 30 million, hopefully. Yeah, I think that will definitely bring his value down. Absolutely. But he's definitely a player I think we should definitely look at. Fiorentina beat Roma at the weekend. Yeah, they did. However, we do need to look at loads of different aspects of that. Roma are in the Europa League final. Fiorentina are in the Europa Conference League final. West Ham are in the Europa Conference League final. Leicester are getting relegated. So I think there's so many different ways to look at it. And, you know, we all know what Mourinho can do and has done in the past about shithousing ways through results and getting a job done. And that's exactly what he's been doing at Roma as well. And I think their eyes going to be full focused on the Europa League final, 100% definitely. But let's get back to the game again. You know, Ben Rama, he did hit the post in the second half as we did start to push forward a little bit, but Leicester did double the lead when Faze headed home a Tielemans free kick. I thought Tielemans was quite effective for Leicester. He's not been performing at all this season, but I actually thought he had quite a reasonable game. And it's funny you're hearing people say now, where's that performance been all season in terms of Leicester? Because they certainly haven't turned up, and for some reason they decided to turn up on the last day when it was out of their hands. But then Pablo Fornals broke free. He still had a lot of work to do, and it was a great finish. He literally found that little pocket of space between the keeper and the post, and he found it, and he got it straight through and made it 2-1. But we are here to give you the player ratings. So I am going to get started on that. So if you are watching, get yourself involved, make it as interactive as you possibly can. So first up, we're going to rate this man, Fabianski. What do you rate him out of 10? Let me see if I can rate Fabianski in the chat. There you go. So for me, he really had not a huge amount to do in the early stages of the game. He couldn't really do anything with regards to the Harvey Barnes goal, to be honest. And it was a well-worked goal and really didn't give him a chance to get anywhere near the ball. He did make a couple of routine catches and a couple of routine saves, and he couldn't really be blamed for Leicester's second as Faye's heading home. But I felt like it just wasn't. We just weren't at the races, really, essentially. And yeah, I think for me, he just gets a kind of bog standard 6. You're going to see quite a common theme going through this as well. Kieran's in the house. Good to see you, my man. Hope you're well. It's really nice to have you around. Peter saying Moyes will set up defensive in the final and try and get them on the break, as he has done for most of the season. Will be a shock if Moyes wins something. Skevy says season over, contract in the final, still in the Premier League. Yep, you're right, mate. You are right. Michael, please. They turned up, but even in third gear, we had more possession. And Mandy is saying Pablo is hitting form. Will he start in Prague? Well, keep your eye on the channel because we'll be talking a lot about Mr. Pablo Fornals over the coming days as well. Mandy G is giving Fabi a 5. Happy. Did you all see Zini's final clap as he went around the pitch? Emotional stuff. We did, and we know you're going to miss him. It's not being confirmed yet, but I think it's pretty much a no-brainer that he will be leaving. Just hope that he gets the right move and it's not a move to another Premier League club, to be honest, because I think that would really hurt you and hurt us as West Ham fans as well. Peter Chelmsford gives Fabi a 6. Michael Blease gives him a 6. And Alan Dunn gives him a 6 as well. Right, next up, let's move into our right back position. Vladimir Sufal. I thought going forward, he did quite well, actually, and putting some good passes into the box. And he was quite effective when he was forward. And they were definitely targeting both the wing-back areas. And he was doing his bit defensively, but the first goal did come from his side of the pitch. And he wasn't quick enough at all to deal with the pace that came from Harvey Barnes at all. So what do you rate Mr. Vladimir Sufal out of 10? Let me know and put it in the chat just now. I will let you know what I've given him, and I've given him a 6. Here, nor there, performance from Sufal. So that's why I've given him that as well. His new team are River Plate. That's what a lot of people think Lanzini's going to head to. Villa apparently are looking at him as well. Not commitment in tackles, 6. Yeah, I don't see why he would generate any more than that. I don't really know why any of the other players. There's a couple of players that I thought actually were played well. Yeah, I give him a 6. We have instigated a 2-year extension for Safal. Alan Dunn is giving him a second half, kept up with Barnes later on, 6. He was okay. He was, and I don't think there was anyone. There was a couple of players that I thought were stand out-ish to a certain extent. Sorry, just people arriving there. We'll have to wait and see what happens with him moving forward. But yeah, I give him a 6. That's I think that's what he deserves, isn't it? I don't think anyone else really there deserves anything more. Now, Tilo Kiro, he was brought back into the starting lineup. This is an interesting one because I actually think he's been performing reasonably well in a West Ham shirt. To be honest, I think he's been doing really quite well. And considering he's having to cover so many different positions, and he was brought in to the centre back role, and he was competent in possession, and he did his defensive duties quite well. And you know, we conceded those 2 goals. I don't necessarily think he was at fault for any of those goals, to be honest, but I thought he's done a really good job. He's starting to grow into his career at West Ham. He's starting to grow into this team. He's starting to understand what being at West Ham is all about and what is being asked of him, and using his experience. And he's a bit more competent on the ball. He's a bit more comfortable on the ball. He's fine under pressure as well. And for that reason, I thought, but I don't think there was anything special, but I've given him a 6. I've probably given him a better 6 than Fabianski and Sufal. I don't think he's done enough to get a 7, in my honest opinion, but a 6 is deserved. You know, it wasn't crap. It wasn't great, but he was more competent than normal. So for that reason, I did give him a 6. Peter Chelmsford says Kieran did well, all things considered, gives him a 7. Michael says won't last 6 months with their owners and they'll want to be top 4. And that's on the news that Pochettino signed a 3-year contract with Chelsea. Michael Blease has given Kira a 6. Alan Dunn says Taylor's been a lot more confident in his game lately and getting used to the Premier League, 6. Barry Clark gives him a 6.5. I mean, we don't do halves, but just because I'm being nice today, mate, I'll let you do the half as well. Everton, you never shone so brightly. Everton, spirit of the Blues. Everton get down to Goodison Park. There you go, mate. You'll be a happy man today. You will be a happy man today. Next up is going to be Naif Aguerd. What do you think of him? He was returning to the starting 11, and he did make a couple of crucial interceptions. One in particularly early on to cut out James Madison pass that was intended for Iheanacho. He also did well to deny Iheanacho with a good show of strength to recover from a challenge after the ball went up over the top. I thought he had a good, reasonable performance. To be honest, I think he was. I thought he did all right. Nothing to ram home about. People questioning whether or not he was at fault for the second goal, essentially. But I think his partnership that he's gained with Zuma is starting to really shine through. And Cream is rising to the top with regards to what his ability is. And you know what? It's been his first season in the Premier League. And I think we're going to see the real best of what he is capable of doing next year as well, which I'm really excited about in terms of next year in West Ham. Sure, I've given him a 6. I think he deserves a 6. I don't think anyone in the back line, essentially a 5 or a 6, I don't think anyone deserves to get any lower than that or any higher than that. To be honest, I think they've done an okay job considering half of them were looking towards the the final as well. Barry Clark says 7, not his best game, but it was still pretty good. Peter Chelmsford says 6. Agerd has a great pass on him, and I'm wondering if we should try him as a left back because he can't head the ball. A 6, and I wonder if that's why Zuma, really works alongside him because he is the kind of header of the ball. But nah, I think to be honest, I think Agerd's going to be a fine centre back for West Ham. I really do. I think he's going to have a long career at our club and a very good career. Michael Blaze 6. I see a theme. Can't see have someone weak in the air in the Prem from Troz. He scored a header and he lost his man again. Great on the deck though. Right, let's move ourselves into the next position, and that is for Aaron Creswell. He almost played West Ham into trouble with an absolutely wild, crazy pass in the first 10 minutes. A cross goal. Don't know what he was thinking. And it was unfortunate. He was fortunate enough that Harvey Barnes did not take advantage. He did well later in the first half, but I thought out of all of the players in the back line, I thought he wasn't at his best. But I've given him a lower score of 5. People may think that's quite harsh, but for that alone, I feel like he does have a little bit of a calamity in him just now. And that concerned me. He was awful for the first kind of 10, 15, 20 minutes. I started to grow into the game, and he should have been using his experience as well. So, has something happened there? Am I still here, everyone? Please let me know if you can still hear me. Okay? Can you? Know if you can, please. So, yeah, for that reason, I gave him a 5. Peter Chelmsford has given him 4. Can't start the final. I think this is going to be the next topic of conversation is who starts and why they start. Awful for 20 minutes. Gets a 5. Yeah, we're probably in the same mindset. Troj gets a 5. Barry Clark 5. Same old Creswell letting his man beat him. Happy Amaret, hope you're well. Not mourning over Lanzini. Alan Dunn gives him a 6. He has his moments when he loses what's happened around him, but his good going forward, he gets a 6. No, you aren't there. Loud and clear. Thank you very much. Emerson tried harder when he came on, but I guess that's expected. Mandy G gives him a 5. You're not here, Russ. No, we're not here. Don't you worry. So, yeah, I think it is what it is. When it comes to Creswell, we'll see what happens again moving forward into the new season if West Ham start to look at that area to bring in a new player. Let's move into the midfield. Declan Rice, captain. He made a few nice passes through the lines into Mickey Antonio, but wasn't really at his best. He committed a few fouls and he started to show a little bit of petulance again when he was getting frustrated when Madison was going down quite a lot, which he was. But he did improve in the second half and he had some good long passes as we did try and get back into the game. And for that reason, I gave him a 6, which is a very rare score for Rice, to be honest. I thought, like I said, it wasn't the best of games for him, but is it the last time we're going to be rating him in the Premier League for West Ham? It's a weird feeling to think that we might never be talking about him again once he moves on his career in the summer. But who to and where, I don't know. That'll be an interesting one as well. Mandy says he gave Rice a pass that almost resulted in a bad injury. Yes, absolutely it was. Troj, he did a diabolical crossfield back pass first half. He did. Happy Amaret says she's not mourning at Lanzini. It's just looking at properties in Buenos Aires. Love that. Michael Please gives Rice a 6. Alan Dunn gives Rice a 6. Good afternoon, everybody from Phil. Phil, hope you're well, mate. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Peter Chelmsford. Rice 6. All the talk before the final will be about where he goes to. You're right, mate. It will. And we'll probably add to that because it will be rumour after rumour after rumour. 8 is the best we can give Rice, but people was taking him down a lot. Yep. Not one of Dex's best games, but he was very frustrated. Needs to settle. 7. Mandy G gives him a 6. Phil is saying Rice was quiet in the game. Trosh says Downs and Rice allowed Madison to sit in space too often. It was a good answer. It really was a good answer. So there you go. There's my scorings from our man Deckers. And he was joined in the midfield by this man, Flynn Downs, given a chance to start from the game. I thought he was reasonably neat and tidy in the midfield, kept the ball moving, tried to break up play when he could. He wasn't able to stop Barnes from latching on to that any actual pass that gave Leicester a lead. He's not a Declan Rice replacement. That's one thing I've learned about him. But I think he's potentially a Tommy Souček replacement. That's the only way I can describe him. I think he could be a potential upgrade on Tommy Suchek and not on Declan Rice. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I gave him a 5. People may think it's harsh. I've seen quite conflicted opinions on Flynn Downs as well. A lot of people, some people are saying he's bloody fantastic and had a great game, and some people are saying otherwise. But for me, I gave him a 5. Peter Chelmsford says Downs 5. Feel sorry about the lack of game time he has had under Moyes. We missed potato salad. Yeah, possibly think we actually did. Michael Blaze 5 Downs. Troj gives Downs a 5. Feel sorry for him too. Didn't take his chance. Phil gives him a 6. Ian, you say I'll say 6 for him. Barry Clark says 6 for me. I'd like to see more, as he is a West Ham fan, play like it. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Like, let me move into the next position, and that is Mr. Pablo Fornals. Now, here we go. This is going to be an interesting one. For me, the way he's been performing in the West Ham shirt as of late, his attitude towards West Ham has been nothing but phenomenal. Now, he got forward well in the midfield, but his final pass or shot wasn't always what he should have been at. And he showed his frustration, and Moyes was showing his frustration on the touchline. However, he did hit the target with a phenomenal goal. It was a really, really good goal. And his determination, his heart rate, his hard work, his ability on the ball, I really do think he's got a really strong, bright future. A bright future in a West Ham shirt. And it excites me to think that he's going to commit, and we're going to commit to the kind of Pablo Fornals. You know, there's something to be said for about what he can bring to West Ham. And for that alone, I gave him a 6. I gave him a 6, and he joins man of the match with another player from the team. But I think he deserves that. I think he really does deserve that. I can't give him an 8. He gets a man of the match, so maybe he should be a 7. But I just can't give anyone above a 7 or a 6 really in this game, because they did all to have their eyes on the prize, didn't they? Let's see this here. I can see Bedford Downs coming in from Luton now that they're up. He was there for one season previously. I'd like him to stay and give him more minutes. I think he'll stay. I do think he'll stay happy. Downs replaced Suchek. No chance. You know what I mean, though? I think he's more of a... I don't think Suchek's leaving. I'm just meaning that I think he could be the long-term option there. Looking at Luton bus tour, not many lining the streets. I've just had a look at that as well. Flynn, I'm just happy to be here. Downs would have been a 7, but he scored. So 8, man of the match for us, 7.5. Fornals gets an 8, needs to start the final. Troj says he gets 7. Superb finish. Always said he was the missing links. Pablo looking more like the player we signed again. Absolutely. Pabs, my 8, man of the match from me. Lucky 7 from me as he got the goal again. Pablo gets a 7 from Mandy. Alan Dunn says Pablo has been showing Moyes that he should be getting on the field a lot more. Man of the match for me, 7. Paqueta and Fornals both only players that can do creative passes. They can. I truly believe Moyes ruined Fornals. Rice is gone. No, he has not. Cam Eurobeans. I could see Downs on a season-long loan to Luton in the Premier League. Probably be a reasonably good move for him as well, wouldn't it? But we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward in the summer, because there's going to be plenty of news coming out of West Ham, isn't there? Let's move into Paqueta. Lucas Paqueta. I think he showed some nice touches, really good strength in the midfield, working his way out from tight spaces. He had great skill. He had great ability on the ball. He was bright at the start of the game, and his impact did fade and wore on as the game went through, and we made the right decision to sub him. But for that reason, I have also given him a yellow 6, a gold 6, you could say, a joint man of the match with Pablo Fornals. I think he's been really, really effective for West Ham as of late, and I think he showed his work rate again in this game. He gets all over the park. But for him, he gets a joint man of the match award as well. Trosh says Downs looked for sharper when he joined us, and he's been playing regular. Michael Blease gives Pac-Man a 6. The Gamer gives Paqueta a 10. I don't know if he's a bot. Philip gives Paqueta a 6. Ladders gives Pac-Man a 7. Peter Chelmsford gives him a 6. Troj 6. Paqueta wasn't great. I think that's why I've given him a reserve man of the match, because it wasn't up to their best ever game, but they were the two probably standout performers, Paqueta and Fornals, for me personally. Great shout from Damien. Joined 8 for me. Him and Rice do shine, even if we do lose. Alan Dunn, Paqueta moves very quickly around all of the field in his class, and he gets a 7 from you. Interesting, isn't it? It shows you how people have so many different opinions on players and their ratings as they move forward. Anyway, let's go into Said Benrahma. He got in some decent positions down the left-hand side, but he was wasteful for times, and it was a frustrating afternoon for him going forward. He did hit the post, though, with a curling effort in the second half. And that was his best attempt shortly before he was replaced. So what do you rate Benny? Let me know. Put it in the chat just now. I gave Mr. Saeed Ben Rama, which wasn't his best game in a West Ham shirt, and he's been frustrating as of late. I gave him a 5. I was quite disappointed in him again, and I think he's really challenging that position with Pablo Fornals, and I think Pablo Fornals may come in and take that role. Peter Chelmsford gives them a 4. Happy Amaret says, I hope that Fiorentina watched that game and underestimate how much our side will be up for the final. Completely agree with you. Absolutely. Benny gets a 6 from the gamer. Michael Please gives him a 5. Beaten by last year's semi-finalist, not sure I'm confident. Benny gets a 4. Benny, I need to just put you on a little timeout, mate. You're just spamming it. You're spamming it. Phil Benrahma does everything right with his positive movement, but lacks the intelligence other great flair players have, and I'll say a 5. Trosh says he gets a 6. Unlucky to hit the post late on. Yep, you are correct, mate. You are absolutely correct. Gets a mark extra. 6 for Benny, as he needs to take more shots from even out the area, as he always gets in the post. To be honest with you, Benny's future at West Ham has got to be through the middle. There was a couple of points in the game where he started to switch, and he was being really effective when he was getting through the middle. That is where he belongs 100%, and that's where I want to see him moving forward. Do you agree? Ben Rama through the middle, number 10? I think that works. A belter, to be honest. Right, let me move on to the last player who started the game for the start 11, and that was Mickey Antonio. He was brought back in up front. He led line on his own. But he had a few sights at goal, particularly in the first half. But his hold-up play was generally quite good. And he was feeding off the scraps in front of the goal before he was substituted. But essentially, like I said, you could see that everyone had one eye on goal on the final. And that's why I've given him a 5. People think it's harsh, but I don't know how the game would score any higher, to be honest, because everyone's head was gone. It was all gone. The only people's head that weren't gone were the fans. They are 10 out of 10. They're 10 out of 10 every single day of the week. You know, we're a unique bunch of fans, and the noises we make are just phenomenal. It really is good. Premier League intensity is going to be what we have over Fiorentina. They have all the components of a good football inside. Benny plays so much better when in the middle from Scott. He'd be much better in the middle. Yeah, Benny, Michael Blaise, and Pablo need free roam. That's when they are at their best. Peter Chelmsford gives them a 3. Well, Antonio from Leathers gives him a 7. Antonio was so poor, I guess he was trying not to get injured. Don't want to see Creswell start the final. Troj gives Antonio a 5. Alan Dunn says, I agree. If we get Barnes, we can replace Benny at 10. Very quiet game from Happy for Antonio, but he is so crucial for Prague. You're right. 5 just ain't shown any beast mode. Do they practice finishing? Good question. Hard going into the final without a proper striker. Antonio did okay, didn't battle like the rest of them. Michael Blaise gives him a 5. Philip gives him a 5. Alan gives him, and too worried to make sure he's get hurt, 5. Apparently, Chris and Sufal have signed extensions, but we'll keep an eye on that and keep an eye on the channel as we do go along. Right, we're coming on to the substitutes because there was a few substitutes made in the game, and the first one was Danny Ings, who came on the field on the 62nd minute for Mickey Antonio. So we're going to fly through these. He brought on after Leicester scored their second goal, but was booked shortly after for a tackle, and he missed a golden opportunity, an opportunity that he would bang away, no problem at all, smash it into the back of the net, blazing over the bar from another one of the substitutes' cutbacks, and he was wayward with another effort shortly after, and the afternoon just really went away from him. To be honest, he never really got an opportunity, and for that reason alone, I gave him a 4. I didn't think he turned up, didn't do a job for us. It looks a little bit wasteful. It looks like maybe his legs are gone. I think we knew his legs were gone, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him in the summer. And we spent some decent money on him. We spent a lot of money per week on him. Could he be effective? Is it better to play alongside another quality striker? You know, someone to head the balls down to him. Are we going to play with 2 up top? I don't think he really suits that, but he did miss some really, really crazy opportunities. Ings got into good positions, but he fluffed them. I think Augie should stay another year. Always sees everyone gravitate him towards celebrations. Scott R. Ings missed 2 sitters, but he made some great hold-up plays and passes. Ings 5. How did he miss that? Ings 4. Gravitate. Ings 5. Ings 4. He is not a West Ham player, I'm afraid. Alan Dunn, Ings, bloody shocking, missing that chance for the money. What a waste for poor from Ings. What a stupid mistake to make the minute of being on 3 from me. Villa laughing at us with the money that we paid, stupid salary. Ings is a prime example of poor recruitment for the way Moyes sets up. Yep, you're right. How does everyone miss the amazing passes and hold-up plays that Ings makes? Great tiki-taki with Paqueta. I see it, but it's about the final product, and if we're not getting anything in the final product, then there's obviously a big concern there as well, and a few wasteful opportunities doesn't help the situation. Ings reminds me of when we had Robbie Keane, great striker, every other club, but not here. God, remember that? I was talking about Robbie Keane recently. I remember we played Blackburn at home at Upton Park, and a chance came across the goal. And you know, if there was a player you'd want on the like there to tap that ball into the back of the net, it would be Robbie Keane, and he missed an absolute literally like a yard away from the goal. Just could not put that in the back of the net. Right, let me move on to the next player, and that is Jared Bowen. Do you know what? He got involved as soon as he came on the field. As soon as he came on, he should have had an assist, but obviously Danny Ings put the ball over the cross of the net, and he found space and he got involved and he got up for it. He didn't look like a guy who just had twins and had lack of sleep. He was buzzing with life. He looks like he's got the energy. And David Moyes has said that since he's brought him in and played him week in and week out. He relies heavily on Jared Bowen. He's one of those players that can be lively and can play week in and week out. And to be honest with you, he was quite possibly one of our most liveliest players, and he only played like 30 minutes. For that reason, I gave him a 6. Bowen made his presence known, 7 from Phil. Bowen helped push the play, 6. Alan Dunn said Bowen was lively when he came on, so hopefully the sleepless nights won't affect him before the final, 6. Bowen, Emerson made an impact. Bowen, 7 from Ludders. Michael Blaise gives him a 6. Must be living away from home at the moment. 7 from Troj. Barry Clark, 6 from me. Looked like he was more attacking when he came on. Absolutely. Right. Richard Stevens gives him a 6 as well. Emerson came on the 71st minute, putting a couple of good deliveries into the box. But you know, we were chasing the equaliser, and he was pushing forward and doing really well and being really effective. And I thought he actually played all right for a substitute coming on the field. I gave him a 5. Scott says Emerson has great interplay with Paqueta and Benny. I'm going to jump into the rest of the subs, and I'll bring on your comments for the roundup of the show. Cornet, what did you think of him? He came on the 71st minute. He attempted a spectacular overhead kick from across, only to see the ball fly over the bar. Starting to get his feet familiar with West Ham as well. Yeah, I like the geezer. I think he's got a bright future at West Ham. Giving him a 5. Like, done reasonably okay. Nothing major, nothing to ram home about, but we'll see. Emerson gets a 6 from you, Ludders. Lake and Palmer, 6 from Peter Chelmsford. Emerson gets a 6 from Phil. Alan Dunn says Emerson should start before Creswell in the final. For me, Corny 2, Ludders, Corny gets a 5. Corny 3, waste of time, wasn't even getting him. Corny gets a 5 from Phil. Barry says, I love Emerson. He does push forward and gets crosses in from Barry. Corny is fast, needs more reps to get into the game. Troj, 5. Corny not happening for him. 4. Corny ain't showing much at the moment. It's like other players don't like him. Interesting one. Right, last but not least, where are you happy? Where are you happy? He came on and potentially made his last ever Premier League appearance for us. Not enough time. He had 4 or 5 minutes in the game, but I felt like it was relevant to bring him up because what a servant he's been for the club once we get the news of what's happening with him. He's been a fantastic servant for the club, and it was good that he got to come on and have his moment. He got his moment last week. Massive not by his 10. I love that, Happy. I absolutely love that. But I think, yeah, he'll be missed. He'll be missed. He'll be missed. He will be missed. And he got to come on. He had his moment against Leeds last week where he scored the goal, which was brilliant for him to get that. And he'll have another moment in thanking the fans at the end of the game, like you said, Happy. And he absolutely deserves that moment. He absolutely does. And he may feature in some way or some format in the final. We'll see. Maybe as an impact sub, etc. But we'll have to see it as well. I would have to say Moyes deserves a grade for the positive subs. Well, there you go. Give the Moyes your grade out of 10. What do you think? Good luck, Manu. Scott R. Lanzini was quiet, only a few minutes. Nice to see him come on. Phil says, would have been great if our Joe left us with a parting gift of a screamer. He gets a 6. True. Lanzini gets a 6 from Ludders. 10 from me. Nothing but love for the geezer. We'll love him always. Lanzini 4. Moyes has treated him so badly. Good luck to him in the future. Happy. I thought you'd like to give him a 1. Happy. we'll have to move on to Pablo. Troj says he did well for us, but injuries years again ruined him. It did. Right, there you go. There is your player ratings for the West Ham versus Leicester game. What is your feelings and thoughts to round it all up? Communicate with yourselves, have a good chin wag with yourselves. Join us later on for the Hammers headlines. We'll bring you some of the latest news of today as we now fully focus on, the final players' contracts, who's staying, who's going, what's happening with the club moving forward. It's going to be relentless, as you know, through the summer. I think we've been better if he had played more this season, dropped like a hotcake from last season. Good luck to him for the future. There ain't no player like Lanzini. What a class man. Well, Mark Moyes after the final. Moyes actually played this one decently. 7. What do we say about Manu? Going to miss him, but he needs to play. Being my favourite player since he came to us. Hope he goes home and finishes his career at his home club. Thanks, Anton. And Happy Hammer totally agrees with you. Listen, much appreciated, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are new around here, then of course go and hit that subscribe button. We're on the march towards 20,000 subscribers. It might be coming sooner than we think. Hit the thumbs up as well if you've enjoyed the content. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, hit the join option as well. Much appreciated for all your support. Take it easy, everyone. And of course, come on, you Irons. And good to see you back, Happy. Thank you for joining us. Take it easy. Bye.